Hello, welcome back to Fireheads Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain 2.0. So, last time out, we got some updates on the state of the reforms, as well as got harassed by the Supreme Court. So yeah, let's come pick it up here. Looks like we got a whole bunch of things, so yeah, why not? Let's start with the report in early here. Alright, Young Swords and NFP flags burned. A massive counter-protest against Young Swords led by a local politician known to be aligned with the Red Youth resulted in many injuries and property damage. Subsequently, Young Swords and National Front Party flags were burned, which caused tensions to escalate. Local police dispersed protesters by sundown. From Full Sword, legislative debate on the repeal of the EPA. The Grand National Assembly was the stage of a contentious debate today over the proposed repeal of the Energy Protection Act of 1932. Arguments both for and against the repeal were put forth, with Franz Richter of the PFJP and USP reformer swing leader Alban Klavan leading the faction advocating for the repeal. They argued that such a move would foster economic growth and increase foreign investment. However, the United Swordsman Party and National Front Party, under the leadership of Gloria Torre and Casara Keepner respectively, defended the act vehemently, citing the need for Swordland to protect its strategic industries from foreign control. The final decision now hinges on the vote, which will be held the following month. Cool. Alright, see here. From Lockhaven, recession hits farmers again. As per the latest news from Lockhaven, the farming industry has taken another hit as a result of the recession. There are reports that 16% of all wheat in Lockhaven is rotting in barns due to a lack of buyers. Farmers are requesting additional funds from the government to survive the year. Fantastic. And more good news coming from Narbel here. Narbel reports lack of hospitals. The mayor of Narbel has reported that their hospitals are overburdened and that they are unable to respond to the needs of the citizens. He complained about months-long waiting lists for terminally ill patients. On top of the capacity issues, it was also noted that the facilities are still largely using outdated technology. That's just fantastic. Hopefully we can fix that later. Alright, Bloodish Resistance and Sanctuaries. Virgin security forces have arrested 3 priests at 2 different nerdy sanctuaries in Sarna after finding links to insurgent activities. The report came from an elderly man who wanted to pray in peace but instead found himself invited to join the Bloodish Freedom Front by a state-sanctioned priest. Further incidents indicate that the BFF is pushing for a local recruitment drive in different sanctuaries across the region. And from Boren, communist books burned. Local residents gathered thousands of books that they claimed to be spreading communist and millennialist propaganda at Century Park in Boren and set the books on fire. Aggressive slogans starting with the Red Youth, the Workers' Party Bloody, and the Communist Party of Swordland were shouted. Youth groups from the local party offices of the USP and NFP also joined in with the burning. The fire department was dispatched and the protesters dispersed on their own. Fantastic. Alright, looks like that's all of our notes. We got like 10 newspapers here, so holy cow. Let's start off with the Wholesale Post. Red Youth rises, warning bells for Swordland. Recent activities of the Red Youth seen rallying in Narbel have set alarm bells ringing. The sudden visibility of a group known for its radical political ideology raises concerns about potential threats to Swordland's national stability. Their resurgence warrants vigilance and a closer examination of their intentions and political influence on our nation's political landscape. Cool. And from Swordland's Day, school poisoning in Narbel. Police have arrested the principal of a high school in Narbel in southern Berger, where 12 students died after eating a free meal laced with pesticides. The students, aged between 15 and 17, died after eating a lunch of local dish zabla, cooked at the school in a poverty-stricken city. Police have started the investigation to solve the mystery of how the pesticide ended up in the food. Fantastic. Alright, from The Economist's upcoming government budget changes. As the top economy experts in the country, we've been watching the upcoming changes to the government budget very closely. President Anton Rein's first internal economical challenge lies ahead, and we will see if he can prove his capabilities as a leader who can think ahead. The potential ramifications of diverting the funding to certain governmental branches has always been a point of contention for any leader, and it is no different for this case. We will see if President Rein can hold on to the promises he has given during the election campaign. We'll do what we can. Alright, Lockhaven Times. Worker unions put pressure for promised benefits. In a tactical move to accelerate the implementation of the promised benefits, the Communist Party of Swordland and the Labor Union of Swordland have declared a labor strike at Gazom. The action seems to serve dual purpose, exerting pressure on Gazom's management to uphold its commitments, and indirectly reminding President Anton Rein of expectations ahead of his meeting with Gazom Chairman Evel Alfonso. Cool, that's new. Alright, we got 3 of them here from the Radical. So first up, United in Protest. Luz and CPS gather in Narbel. I don't know why I keep saying Luz, it's just LUS, but Whatever, it's fine. Anyway, an impressive display of solidarity saw members of the Labor Union of Sordland and the Communist Party of Sordland gathering in Narbel. This mass protest not only marks a new phase in the fight for workers' rights, but also sends a powerful message to President Anton Rain. The workers of Sordland will not be silenced or sidelined. And time for women to stand up. Women in Sordland have always been under pressure by the unequal society and the system of discrimination that was built by old men who only knew about war, said Katarina Horton in a women's rally that was held in Hulsord yesterday. The Sordish League of Women is organizing a number of rallies across Sordland to bring the change Sordland desperately needs. It is time for Sordland to realize that we have to respect every individual regardless of their sex and strive to become an advanced civilization. Women have long been pushed to the corners of the social and political life. To address this change, a new campaign has started all over Sordland to establish a framework for women's rights. The Sordish League of Women is organizing rallies with the support from Minister of Education Sarah Walder and Member of Assembly Katarina Horton. Everybody is equal according to the Sordish Constitution, but there are no protections against discrimination, which only reinforces inequality in practice, said Walder in a press conference. This movement must be supported by all Sordish women as well as men. We need to bring change now. We can do it. And questioning soulless education. The newly unveiled SIPA Education Performance Report unveiled a sad reality about Sordland's abysmal status in comparison to many countries. Sordland was rated 39th out of the 68 nations that were assessed by the OMEC organization. Primary gauge for the quality of education is made from a sample of 16-year-olds from each nation and their capacity in fields like mathematics, history, chemistry, and many others. One of the key issues we've seen is the strong focus on the history and citizenship classes, leaving little time for scientific fields. Minister Walda often mentioned the gaps in the system in her assembly debates before she joined the cabinet. It is also supported by one of our editors, a professor from Hulsord State, who had long been critical of the situation in secondary education. The SIPA report reveals the damning truth that soulless education, based on the principles of statism, nationalism, and republicanism, poisons the bright minds of our children. We need to rid the system from the poison of this ideological indoctrination. Let our future generations think for themselves. Indeed. Alright, we got 3 more left here from Geopolitico. This looks nice and brand new. Onrakan Archipelago emerges as buffer zone and global trade power. Federation of Onrakan Isles, a collection of strategically located islands between the continents Marcopa and Kantana, is positioning itself as a significant buffer zone and global trade power amid escalating tensions between United Kantana and Arcasia. The archipelago's unique geographic location allows it to serve as a conduit for international commerce and diplomacy, fostering a robust trade empire in the process. Onraka's naval strength has been a key factor in maintaining its influence in the region. With a powerful fleet protecting its maritime borders, the Federation has managed to establish and maintain open trade routes, even amidst the ongoing superpower confrontations. This has enabled Onraka to attract business from both the United Kantana and Arcasia, positioning itself as a neutral ground for global trade and economic cooperation. Federation of Onraka Isles' strategic location and neutrality have made it an indispensable player in the global trade ecosystem. As tensions between United Kantana and Arcasia continue to rise, the nation's role as a buffer zone of trade power is more crucial than ever, highlighting the importance of maintaining stability and fostering economic growth in the region. And then, Grace nations unite to counter ideological influences, forge parallel finance order. No idea what that means, but that's definitely new. In a historic move, the member states of the Guild of Royal Allies for Commercial Exchange, GRACE, have announced a series of joint initiatives aimed at countering the growing influence of millennialist and Arcasian capitalism ideologies, establishing a parallel financial and trade order. The unprecedented collaboration comes at a time when traditional monarchies are increasingly becoming challenged by geopolitical shifts and global economic trends. During the recent Grace Summit held in Thornburg, the capital of the Kingdom of Rumburg, leaders from member nations, including the Kingdom of Rizia, Baroness of Sordis, the Principalities, Narberk, the Holy Kingdom of Alrakar, the Confederation of Vendensam, and the Kingdom of Nalaperna came together to discuss strategies and share insights in preserving their unique heritage and promoting prosperity and stability in the face of a rapidly changing world order. King Romas Toras of Rizia addressed the summit, emphasizing the importance of unity among the member states. We stand together not only as partners in commerce, but also as protectors of our shared heritage and values. The tides of change may be strong, but our resolve to uphold our traditions and resist external influences is even stronger. Archduke Bertrand de Valois, the leader of Narberg, echoed King Taurus' sentiments, adding, "Our unity and grace sends a clear message to the world that we are capable of forging our path, independent of the ideological battles that threaten to engulf the globe." As part of the initiative, Grace nations have agreed to establish a joint development bank to finance infrastructure projects, promote regional trade, and foster economic growth. In addition, they have committed to enhancing cultural and educational exchanges, aiming to bolster the relationships between their peoples and reinforce the bonds that unite them. The Grey Summit's ambitious agenda underscores a demonstration of these monarchies to not only survive, but thrive in a world increasingly divided by ideological conflicts. Cool. And last up, Van Horten blames Volkson for the missing fishing vessel. On Tuesday morning, Agnolia's Prime Minister Van Horten has made a statement denouncing Volksons for the missing vessel, hull number ARV-0238. Our dutiful Coast Guard have rescued a crew member of the missing vessel. Through his statement, we've learned the ship's unfortunate end was none other than the Volkslandian Navy. However, the Prime Minister has refused to disclose the surviving crew member due to fear of an assassination attempt from Volkson to cover up their hostility, as the minister later claimed. Cool. Alright. Well, that was a lot of stuff. Let's head to Holsword and go have a barbecue with our son. It was a Saturday afternoon, my first break from work in what felt like years, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect. Trying to keep my mind off the upheaval sparked by the circus assassination, I lit the backyard grill. Monica and Deanna were out shopping for craft supplies, and I'd given the staff the day off. It was just myself and Franc at home. I wasn't sure how he felt about me at the moment, but I did know how he felt about barbecued ribs. Our cook had left some marinating in the refrigerator. Sure enough, as soon as Franc glimpsed the grill and the meat, he stepped outside to join me. Hey, come to spend some quality time with the old man, have you? Oh, sure, if you can spare a few minutes out of a busy schedule. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I haven't been around very often lately, but I'm happy to see you now. It's okay. I know you've got the most stressful job in the country, and you've got to feed your family on top of it all. Oh, we both chuckled. I turned to tend to the fire. Here, let me try. He grabbed the fan and started quickly waving it over the coals. The fire roared to life. He turned to look at me with a grin on his face, as if he was expecting praise. Not bad, son. Not bad. Thank you, sir. It is in our utmost interest to fulfill our duties with precision. The grilling shall commence in exactly 1 minute and 32 seconds. That was a spot-on impersonation of Lucien, and we looked at each other for a second, then burst out laughing. I realized my throat was parched. There was a six-pack of beer in the kitchen. Let's see, I think I always go with this option, so let's just go with this one. Yo, Franc, can you get me a beer? Franc got up without saying anything, went to the kitchen and churned over the cold beer. Thank you. I opened the beer and gazed out at the city skyline. Father and son, we enjoyed the silence together. For a moment, my thoughts flashed back to my childhood, my relationship with my own father. My father was a poor man who struggled to provide for us on his meager income. He put me to work on the farm long before I was Franc's age, and even then, we couldn't always make ends meet. Yet, we were always close as a family. Now that I was the president, I knew Franc would never face the same hardships I had. I couldn't deny that I felt a bit jealous. Dad, can I ask you something? Yeah, go on. It's just, I feel like there's so much you've been hiding from me about your past and about what's going on right now. Like at dinner that night after the ball, you told me everything was under control, but it wasn't, was it? I know it happened in the 20s. We learned all about it in school. Now, with the protests and the riots, is it going to be the same thing? Dad, is there going to be civil war in Swordland? I sure as hell hope not. He let out a sigh. But what was it like back then? Uncle Peter said the two of you went through a lot. I'm not a kid anymore, you can tell me. Before I could gather my thoughts, the familiar images started flashing before my eyes. Images of soldiers advancing towards me and my friends, weapons drawn. Of people I knew, friends and neighbors, being dragged through streets and murdered in alleyways. The shock and grief on the faces of fathers, mothers, and orphan children. Those were dark times. It seems like it. But you're nearly a grown man. Let's talk about it. Franc leaned forward in his chair, his eyes wide. It's time to tell him about the coup of 1927. I was barely older than you are now, studying history at the Dierik University of Culture. I was a freshman, excited and young. I had just left the classroom to go back home as I heard the sound of multiple vehicles approaching the campus gates. As I got closer, I realized there were military camouflage trucks and tanks carrying hundreds of soldiers. The same soldiers that were supposed to protect Sordland citizens pointed their guns at us. They immediately took control of the facilities. One of my friends asked what was going on and was arrested immediately. More people got angry and gathered in protest. Franc kept listening, a shocked look on his face. I was there with the protesters as they declared martial law. We marched towards them. They threatened to use force, but we stood our ground. So they started beating anyone they saw, including me. The physical wounds took a few weeks to heal, but the mental scars have stayed with me to this day. I was still one of the lucky ones. Some of my friends were shot, many more were arrested. I can't forget the screams to this day. Franc leaned back in his chair, his shoulders slumped heavily. It was time to tell him about the Civil War. It was right after I met your mother. We both joined the student council to push for change after the coup of 27, but over the next year the state of Sordland deteriorated. People started picking sides, and I tried to stay away as much as I could. But then, one night, it happened. Two different factions in the army, one of them led by the fascist General Luderin and the other by the socialist General Ricard, started fighting against each other. It was a bloodbath. Nowhere was safe. Franc shifted in his seat, visibly uncomfortable. People organized protests either for or against Ricard. I heard about the clashes the next day. Many of my friends were shot or arrested. I isolated myself for months. That's probably enough for today. It's okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked you about it. I know I don't understand how easy my life is sometimes. One more thing, though. I know that you managed to not take any sides. Do you mind if I ask why? There are two sides to the same coin. Franc raised his eyebrows, his curiosity still unsatisfied, but sensing my reluctance to go on, he simply nodded. Sorry for bombarding you with questions. I know I complain sometimes, but my problems are nothing compared to what you went through. Yeah, but I'm here to listen to them no matter what they are. Before Franc could say anything else, I heard the front door unlock. Diana and Monica's voices and sounds of rustling shopping bags filled the house. Alright, I'll be upstairs until dinner. Franc went in and dashed upstairs. I took a long sip from my beer, looking at the city and the now setting sun. I hoped that that talking to Franc about my past had been the right decision. Part of me felt as if some sort of burden had been lifted. But I had the same nightmares again that night. Oh, good lord, even more stuff. Alright, well, let's jump into the newspapers. We got 11 of them again. So, let's see, we got 2 of them in the whole sort of post here. So, first up we got Green Act, a misdirected effort. The Green Act, heavily backed by the PFJP, seems out of touch with the prevailing political climate in the country. It suggests a disconnect between policymakers and the ordinary sort of citizen, whose immediate concerns are more likely to center on the economy, job security, and social services. While environmental conservation is important, it should not overshadow the more pressing needs of the people. Well, one hopes future policies will better reflect the realities and priorities of the Sorge people. And attacker opened fire on protesters, 17 dead. A man opened fire in Vezord City Center during a protest march organized by the Communist Party of Sordland against the murder of Bernard Circus. The attacker used a military-grade machine gun dated 1929, which is suspected to be part of the inventory of the Sorge Armed Forces. The attacker killed himself right after shooting at 25 people, killing 16. He took out the weapon from the newsstand at the square, brandished it, and yelled, "Come, I'll give you freedom," one witness said. Part of the charged word freedom has been previously associated with Blue Jew separatists, but has been used widely during the previous month of protests against the murder of Bernard Circus. The Minister of the Interior, Lilias Graf, said that she had spoken to the Chief of Vezor Police and asked him to take strict action. The government will not tolerate any such incident. The perpetrators will not be spared, she said. Cool. And from Sordland's Day, Tourism Bill signing deserves applause. The signing of the Sordland Tourism and Cultural Preservation Act by President Anton Rain marks a monumental step in the right direction. The act, designed to amplify Sordland's cultural allure and tourism viability, holds the potential to spark economic recovery. Sordland's path to becoming a global tourist destination is now clearer than ever, and we anticipate a vibrant future for our nation's tourism industry. Fantastic, and we got 2 from The Economists here. Green, a threat to growth? The newly proposed Green Act, aimed at nurturing a sustainable industrial approach in greening, raises concerns of stifling economic growth. Section 1, stringent regulations on industrial pollution and waste disposal could potentially burden businesses with heavy compliance costs. Though fines will fund environmental recovery projects, the financial strain could outweigh the benefits. While the proposed tax breaks for reducing environmental impact as outlined in Section 2 appear attractive, they might not compensate for the costs of stricter regulation. Our analysis suggests a balanced approach, marrying economic growth with environmental considerations. And then Gazprom and turmoil, a leadership crisis. The recent financial distress facing Gazprom, one of the pillars of Swortland's economy, highlights a glaring issue at its helm. Our investigation reveals a disconcerting narrative of mismanagement, spearheaded by Eva Lofonso, the current CEO, known to maintain close ties with Minister Malengere. Evidently, their leadership is characterized by a striking absence of cost-cutting initiatives and measures to enhance operational efficiency. Gazprom, formerly a beacon of economic prosperity, is now struggling under the weight of poor leadership, underscoring the urgent need for managerial overhaul. And for the Lockhaven Times, Rissine Oil and Gas expresses interest in Gazprom. Rissine Oil and Gas, a leading player in the global energy sector, has reportedly expressed interest in investing in Gazprom. This Rissine corporate giant's move could have significant implications for Swortland's domestic energy sector. While this potential investment may raise concerns about foreign influence, it also offers a welcome capital injection for Gazprom. It will be interesting to observe how this development unfolds and impacts the dynamics of Swortland's energy industry. And FC Gilzord vs. FC Anarcha Derby postponed due to protests. One of the most anticipated matches between FC Gilzord and FC Anarcha was postponed because of the intense protests in the city of Anarcha. The league has issued the following statement regarding the situation. Due to safety reasons, the players are compromised during this time of trouble. We have decided to postpone the game. Moreover, we stand in solidarity with the fans, our players, and the people of Anarcha in the fight against injustice. Mayor Curtinless has also made a statement. It is a tragic day of Swortland where the president himself refused to act in the face of communism. It is said that inaction breeds doubt and fear. Thus, I fear that the spread of communism has sown deeper inside the heart of the nation than we thought. However, I and the people of Anarcha will never stop fighting for the soul of our great country. Cool, yeah. And then we got two more from the Radical. The imperative Green Bill awaits signature. The proposed Green Act, championed by forward-thinking members of the Assembly, could be a transformative step for Swortland. The act, if signed by President Rain, would introduce stricter regulations on industrial pollution and waste disposal, providing a much-needed push towards environmental responsibility. Particularly in Gruny, businesses that failed to meet these new standards would face fines, the revenue of which would contribute to environmental recovery projects. Simultaneously, those demonstrating significant reduction in environmental impacts would enjoy tax breaks. The creation of a small investment fund for eco-friendly practices represents a pioneering approach to industrial sustainability. It's high time we put the environment at the heart of our policymaking. We urge President Rain to sign this crucial legislation. And undemocratic elections of Swortland. Swortland has an electoral threshold of 10%. This means any political parties that are under 10% of the vote can't even enter the Assembly. This is the very reason why the United Swortland Party holds 52% of the seats in the Assembly today. It is also the reason why the largest ethnic minority of Swortland is non-existent in Swedish politics. The last elections have shown that the pro-British WPB had an enormous voter base of just above 9%, but it still failed to meet the 10% threshold and couldn't enter politics. Similarly, the CPS has won around 8% of the general vote, but was eliminated. This means that millions of votes are not represented in our current government. Moreover, this has benefited the USP the most and gave them the lawmaking power. The undemocratic threshold needs to be lowered down so that there is true representation in the Assembly and a true representation of our voices. No one can call Swortland a democracy without a decrease or a constitutional proposal that does not include such a change democratic. And from Geopolitico, CSP's worker report under scrutiny. A recent report on workers' rights released by a reformist faction within the Cantonan Security Pact has stirred international discourse, attracting both considerable attention and critical skepticism. While the report offers an ostensibly comprehensive overview of labor conditions within CSP member nations, critics argue that the data could benefit from a more nuanced and detailed analysis. The CSP's assertive claims surpassing global standards in terms of minimum wages and unionization rates is a contention that invites closer scrutiny. It remains essential to distinguish between stated policy objectives and the actual situation on the ground, considering the complexity of labor dynamics. The debate underlines the need for transparency in evaluating such claims and reinforces the importance of independent verification. And last up Anraka broadens economic horizons. Anraka is taking strategic steps towards diversifying its economic portfolio, with a keen focus on investing in energy exporting nations. This approach not only indicates Anraka's intent to strengthen its economic stability, but also underlines its foresight in recognizing the burgeoning value of energy sectors worldwide. Additionally, Anraka appears to be charting an innovative path by expressing a commitment to financially support nations outside the ambit of ATO and CSP influence. This indicates a clear intent towards fostering global neutrality, marking a potential deviation from the conventional alignment with major power blocs. As this approach takes shape, the international community will be closely monitoring its potential impacts on the global economic landscape. Fantastic. Now we've got a bunch of reports. Yeah, looks like 6 of them again. So from Whole Sword, L1 report from SSC. SSC's project manager for the L1 Railway has reported that the project has been progressing well and they have already started laying down the foundations of the ground retaining walls, bridges, and tracks. Project supervisors from the government confirmed the report, saying that most of the preliminary work has already been done by the SSC. However, the government officials added that there were a couple of delays related to the transportation of construction materials, which are not included in the SSC's report. And USP report on reforms. Many members of the USP, led by Alban Clavin and the reformist wing of the party, clarified their demands from the government and the party Congress. For the upcoming constitutional reform, Alban Clavin stated that without ministry reforms, they won't be able to stand behind the new reform package. From Morna, Mornal industrial output concerns. The mayor of Morna has reported that their industrial output numbers this year are 12% lower than last year. They are requesting additional support to improve their industrial capacity, including machinery and personnel, to combat the downward trend. With the construction of several new factories in Morna, the mayor stated his belief that an economic upturn in the city is still possible if government investments succeed. According to current projections, Morna is set to lose an additional 2% of industrial output next year. However, recent data from the municipality suggests that an investment worth several billion ren will stop the downward trend and increase the industrial output in a short amount of time. Coolio. Alright, from Rizia. Rizia advocates for energy partnership. Rizian Oil and Gas has extended a co-investment proposal for Sordland's ambitious Gasom energy venture. King Romus emphasized the bilateral benefits of such cooperation and its potential in bolstering the region's energy security. He also stressed that this collaborative venture could form the bedrock of a stronger economic alliance, further binding our nations. And from the Akazan Treaty Organization, ATO pledges financial and military aid to Agnolia. In an emphatic display of international solidarity, the Arkazian Treaty Organization, ATO, is committed to significant financial and military aid to Agnolia. Located in the heart of eastern Maricopa, a region rife with geopolitical complexities, Agnolia stands at the crossroads of economic challenges and potential security threats from Rumburg and Volksland. This aid package is designed to enhance Agnolia's economic stability and bolster its military capabilities, fortifying it against possible CSP advances and further Rumburg hostilities. As part of the ETA's larger goal to secure its capitalist allies against the spread of socialism, this assistance serves as a testament to the ETA's commitment to supporting its member nations in a time of need. And from Antel, prisoners riot in Antel Rock Prison. Yesterday, around 11 a.m., a prison riot started in Ward C of the Antel Rock Prison, which was eventually suppressed. Ward C is generally used for keeping political prisoners, and the riot started when a warden was killed by a brutish political prisoner. 4 guards and 21 prisoners died, 134 were injured. Cool. Alright. Let's to Narbel for a presidential visit. I was traveling to the snow-covered city of Narbel in the Nargis region for the Rural Development Forum, organized by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. The mountainous city of Narbel had gritty tones to it. It was mostly regarded as one of the poorer cities in Sordland. Its people were hardy and wary. Even after the discovery of natural resources in the area, years of neglect by the central government were apparent on the buildings and the general infrastructure. Natural resources, namely gas and oil, were now under the control of Gazprom, which elevated the corporation to a place of power. My task in this forum was mainly symbolic. Fake smiles and handshakes with oil barons, meeting local politicians, but most importantly of all, making sure that Narbel did not feel like it was forgotten by the government. The scenery so far, however, was a reflection of Narbel's neglect. Main roads to the city were not maintained well. There were many bumps, empty, discolored spots in the asphalt. Navigating and swerving to avoid the inconveniences, our motorcade finally started nearing the city. As if my discomfort from the bumpy ride was apparent to him, Serge rolled down the partition window. "We'll be arriving at Hotel West in a few minutes, sir." Thank you for letting me know. Anytime, it is my duty. After a moment, Serge started smiling at his mustache. What's that smile for? Sir, I just want to say, it's been great these last 2 months. As you know, my wife Susan recently gave birth to our son, sir. Now my daughter just started a very good high school in Whole Sword. You're ready, Serge, because life is about to become a lot busier. Oh, I know, sir. It's already very busy. My daughter is a handful. Thankfully, my work times allow me to spend some time with my family, except for these distance trips. I'm very lucky to have this job. How are your children, sir, if I may ask? Yeah, they're both doing fine, just going through different phases in life. I can understand that completely, sir. He glanced towards the back. I had some troubles communicating with Erica as she grew up, but we found common ground by going to plays. Yeah, communication is the key. It is. I was unlucky. I never had a connection with my father. He was absent from my life, and I just can't have the same situation with my children. Being a president meant that I had to be away from home most of the time. I wondered if Franc also thought of me as an absent father figure. Could that be the reason behind his attitude? Serge continued after a moment of silence. Have I told you, sir? We named my son Georg. The doctor said he is very healthy, and thankfully so is my wife. That's good. I hope the hospital had good service. Normally we would have been treated in one of the suburban hospitals. But thanks to special coverage of the presidential staff, we are transferred to Emerald State Hospital. We need to increase quality of services for all. That sounds like a tough issue to solve. Serge sighed. I have already started thinking about their university education, especially Erica. I want to send her to a good private school, but with the current state of the economy, it's going to be hard for us. Let's see. I think we can go ahead and afford to, help Serge out. That's why we took that doubled the bribe from Tusk earlier. Yeah, this one's new, though. I don't think I can afford 2 wealth, but I can at least afford to help him out with his kids. You know what? I can support the education of your children. Mr. President, there is no way I can... With one look from me, Serge cut his sentence short and nodded at me after removing his hat. Mr. President, I don't know how I can ever repay you for this. Thank you so much. I hope you return the favor of helping someone else in need someday, just like I did. I will, sir, of course. I won't forget your generosity, sir. The car hit a major pothole and a bump, which lifted us up in our seats for a second. Good lord, this is unacceptable. We need to invest in infrastructure here. I agree, sir. We still need to drive back tomorrow, unless he's one of those new helicopters. The motorcade began approaching the hotel. The Hotel West was supposedly the best hotel in Narbel. The large 25-story main building was undoubtedly one of the taller and more expensive buildings in the city. It towered over nearby slums and had been a target for protests when it was first built. A crowd was gathered in front of the hotel with a welcoming committee at its center. As we approached the red-carpeted entrance, I could see the mayor of Narbel and his top aides. Serge got out of the car and opened the door. He bowed his head respectfully and gestured towards the entrance. Thank you. Have a good day, Mr. President. As soon as I left the vehicle, the fresh air of Narbel filled my lungs. Almost immediately, everyone present in the crowd flocked over to me with an excessive display of courtesy, smiles, and handshakes while I donned the mask of a politician. A mask that I was very used to. Fantastic, and wow, just even more newspapers. That's awesome. Alright. Well, I know we didn't get a whole lot accomplished this time around because of 9 million newspapers to read, but that feels like as good a place today it's going to call for today. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see y'all next time.